breaking news on the North Carolina coaching search front. Tommy Ashley's not in.
Powers that be.
Would you come around here so you can at least be on the camera like normal? I know the rules don't apply to you, but if you can come around here and at least get on camera for folks that are watching, they would appreciate it.
Let me guess. Sean Crowley's in the chat.
He is in the chat.
Is definitely in the chat.
Like a bear pooping in the woods, Sean Crowley's automatic as you can expect.
Dude, I don't need to be on the air. I was on the air 6 times in 24 hours.
Look, I will go ahead and give him all of the credit because, in case you haven't heard, there's been a little bit of news around UNC this week. Specifically, Tar Heels have fired, or at least said Mac Brown will not return to coach next season. And today is going to be his send-off. So Tommy, and I rip the guy right and left, but I feel like I do it out of love. But I will absolutely sing his praises for the work this man did this week. He did a post-game show after a 2 o'clock basketball AM finish in Maui. Another one the day after. Got up at 8 a.m., broke the news sometime around noon on a podcast about Mac Brown not being retained. Did another one that night, another post game that night. All I know is the man standing up right here for a while, and I'm throwing all these flowers to him. Let's get started talking about today, and that is North Carolina Tar Heels coming out with the MAC situation. How is that going to affect what is going on today at Kenan Stadium?
In 3 hours, how much this team rallies behind the coach that's no longer there. I think you're going to see Joey. I don't have any idea how they're going to play.
That probably makes you about the same as everybody else.
I know, and that. Therein lies the rub when we're talking about Mac Brown 2.0 era. Is we do not know how they're going to play and how they're going to show up.
That's how we got to this place.
I've talked to plenty of folks that should know and that will know, and none of them know how this team will play. I know that the team from West Raleigh is going to come in
ready to fight
and love to make this the swan song or whatever you want to call it a bad day for North Carolina.
Yeah.
But how will North Carolina react? How will the players react? You got, a ton of Evan. We did it on Monday. You got a ton of seniors. Not only that, you have a ton of seniors with eligibility remaining.
With some TBD as far as what their next season status might be.
So folks need to realize if you walk today on Kenan Stadium turf before the game, it doesn't necessarily mean you're done.
Yep.
And there's a lot of talent that's not necessarily done in college football. Will they be done at North Carolina? So many moving parts. I would like to see Carolina play a unified game, complementary football. But to be honest, I got no clue.
And that's why I think that's one of the biggest underlying factors as to why Mac Brown is no longer going to be the coach after today. I'm going to go ahead and give Evan some props after we totally steamrolled him for showing up here in a red plaid lumberjack sweater.
Burgundy.
Looks like cranberry sauce.
It does.
Do you like cranberry sauce in a can?
Yeah, I do.
With the can ripples?
Yeah. Ribbed. Evan, you didn't get a chance to do any player avails this week because of the news around Mac. This is usually where I ask you how you feel like the team is going to go, but let's flip this a little bit. In the kind of backing into how this season has played out, have you been able to glean enough from covering these guys for 11 games to get an angle on how they might come out today?
I'd love to say yes, but I'd be lying because I thought they had stuff going well going into Boston College, and I think you could argue that was the worst overall performance of the season. Even though the James Madison game you could argue is a little bit more embarrassing, I think the complete failure and outclass that Boston College put on display last week, you could argue that was the worst performance of the year. So I really don't know how this team is going to respond, not only to this obviously being Mac Brown's last game, but just the rivalry as a whole. I mean, we've talked about it a lot this week in that there is a level of hatred in this rivalry that at times on a in terms of the staff, it feels one-sided.
Yeah,
100%.
But it's not that way within the fan bases. And I think that's where some of the disconnect has come about in this rivalry in the last 3 years and why you've seen the results you've seen. And I understand, Mac saying this week when Tommy asked him about just how does he approach the rivalry differently after what obviously was leaked from the locker room of what Doran had said last year. And Mac says, I'm not going to be a hater up here. And maybe it's a different message behind closed doors. But the product that you've seen on the field in this rivalry the last 3 years would suggest otherwise, and that it's actually the same message that he's given to the public. And I don't know. I don't know how these guys are going to respond. There's obviously a way you would want them to respond, a way you would think they would respond when it is a rival game, when it is a team that the last time they were in this stadium planted their flag at your midfield logo,
and called you again pieces of
right.
Ish.
You just don't know. You really don't know with this team, and I am just as clueless and curious.
We know you're clueless because you wore red today, but go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah,
that's burgundy. That's cranberry sauce. I asked Mac that, and I said, "Do you?" And I hope you. I don't know what you did.
I didn't clip it. I'm really sorry.
Oh my God! But anyway, I asked. So we'll talk about it. I asked Mac, "Do you adjust the way you approach the rivalry?" And he got a little irritated.
He got prickly with you.
Yeah.
And he said, if you're wanting me to stand up here and say I hate blah, 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 I get it. You don't actually hate the people. But you have to hate them in the rivalry.
Make your fan base believe that you care at least 1 week out of the year.
Exactly. And I will give John Bunning credit. John Bunning hated North Carolina or North Carolina State. Roy Williams hated NC State.
Roy Williams would rather beat State than eat. He said that before.
And it reflects on how you play in these games. And I get it. These are the mediocre of the mediocre.
Yeah, a lot of meh. A lot of mid.
5 and 6 and 6 and 5.
Battle of mid.
Yeah.
Mid. Is that what the young people
say?
Yes.
The mid bowl.
The mid off.
And so what do you do to get yourself up and ready to play? You hate them.
Yes.
And North Carolina's not been that way. I get it. I'm all about love. I'm free love, all of that kind of stuff.
Wait, what?
Free love.
I don't know.
Woodstock, free love.
Yeah, okay.
But when it comes to your bitter rival, then you come out and you want to end them.
There's got to be somebody.
Remember that?
There's got to be somebody you want to put in the ground, and it needs to be them.
Yeah. We will end you needs to be the motto
We'll have
North
to tell
Carolina
everyone about that off the air.
Yeah, we'll tell you that story later. But that's NC Carolina premium.
Yeah, that's a super premium board.
But my thing is that North Carolina hasn't approached it this way. They beat them bad in 19. They beat them bad in 20.
But even then, it wasn't like they were. They didn't make it feel like it was a.
It's not personal,
right? And I think
this
at least
personal.
for this game, it should be personal. I get the coach speak. I understand that, and I don't want to step on your segment, Evan. But I understand why coaches, especially a guy that's always been as much of a politician as Mac is, I get wanting to be the mayor and want everybody to have fun and just focusing on one game at a time. I understand that. I even understand that if it manifests into real life to where you don't want guys to think about one game more than another. But specifically, with the last game of the year, nothing else to play for, you've got to absolutely walk in the locker room, kick everybody square in the grundle. Kick everybody square in the grundle to get them pissed off because you've got to be mad for a game like this.
Yeah.
I just saw the worst round of cornhole I'd seen in my life. They missed all 8 bags.
At.
Well, I was saying hey to the folks. But that was really bad. But no, I agree. I think I think what an interesting dynamic of today can be, and this is just a reality of modern college football at the transfer portal. UNC has 2. Not starters, because one of them doesn't start, but 2 guys that play significant snaps who started their careers off in Raleigh.
Yeah.
I can't believe man rolls up here in a dually.
Yeah. Yeah, he don't care.
And both of those guys don't really like to talk about their past time in Raleigh. They didn't want to talk to us about it during training camp and throughout the season.
I get that.
I don't know how things went down there, but I think that is an interesting dimension of today's game.
There's a little wrinkle in there.
Especially when you're talking about a guy like Joshua Harris, who is obviously one of the vocal leaders along that interior line. Maybe that's where you see, if the hatred, dislike isn't coming from maybe the adults, the powers that be in the room, It's got to come from the players.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of guys. I mean, these seniors, the true 4-year senior guys, have never beaten state.
Nope.
And you got to think there's some level of distaste and hatred because of that. And I think that's where maybe that can come about.
Let me ask you a question. You've never beaten NC State. You're Power Eccles.
Right.
Power Eccles is from North Carolina. He lives in this state. He'll probably, live in this state whenever his football playing career is over. And you've never beaten North Carolina State. You don't think he'll hear about it?
Right.
Into eternity.
It's going to be there, and that's one of those things where most of the time, Tommy, when we talk to players, like they're quick to say, "I never beat them," or "My record was blah blah blah." It's the same way with Duke in basketball, but I think for football, you only get one chance a year to play them, so you've kind of got to make the one game count. And if you don't think that they don't know how often they've beat them, they recite all the time how many days it's been since they've lost to North Carolina.
Yep.
Like they make it absolutely a paramount factor, and that's where I feel like I'm not saying North Carolina has to be them. I'm not saying North Carolina has to be them, but North Carolina absolutely needs to hate the way that they hate, at least for this game, and they at least need to be dialed in with that level of angst and fire that you may not see elsewhere. Tommy, Evan talked a second ago before he went to go change into another red sweater. He mentioned earlier about all the guys that are going to be on that field today and how do you send them out right. Do you think there's enough pride in that locker room for as many vets as there are that can kind of maybe pick those guys up?
Player-wise?
Yeah.
I think. Here's the issue, and this week has been very contentious. I don't think there's any doubt that what's going on since Monday afternoon has been very contentious. But teams take the personality of their head coach. How has that changed over the last 4 or 5 days? That'll be an interesting take for me to see how they play. I mean, you talk about the seniors.
Yeah.
We also talk about Amarion Hampton.
Yep.
His last game in Keenan Stadium.
Last game in a Tar Heel uniform. I don't know this, but I would be shocked if he plays in a mediocre mid-tier postseason exhibition game.
If I were making the decisions for Amarion, this is his last game in Keenan Stadium.
100%.
Or last game in a Carolina uniform.
Last game, period.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
And so you have those dynamics is like you got to love the folks getting in the bowls a lot late.
Yeah.
And then fussing at people for
and
tailgating. And having
annoyed they've got to drive around a cornhole game. And they're rolling in here at quarter of one. Thanks, guys.
So, North Carolina fans want to do their part. Let's do their part. But anyway, you've got all these different dynamics going on. But ultimately, players have to decide, how am I going to play? What am I going to put on tape? And what am I going to do? Because none of the rest matters.
Nope.
And this game here at 3:30 on Saturday in Keenan Stadium against your bitter rival is just another example, another opportunity to put stuff on tape. How do I react? I think it's huge.
I think this is more of the example of why North Carolina's in a coaching search situation. But is there any reason to think that this team will come out locked in and motivated? And that's kind of to your point we started the top of the segment with, Tommy, is like how do you handicap this team? How do you read this team? And I just don't see a way to do it. So you throw all this other distraction and kind of disconnection and variance in there. Shout out to Sherelle for me using the word variance. You just wonder, is this team going to come out as one more situation where they're trying to do more than their job? And that I think is the fear for a lot of Carolina fans, is knowing that, hey, NC State always comes in with one thing in mind. They're uber focused. They're fired up. They're champing at the bit, and North Carolina usually doesn't match that. And oh, by the way, now they're also having to deal with the distraction of their coach's last game and all that other stuff.
I mean, Mac's a player's coach, right? Isn't that what you hear all the time about, how players usually like Mac? They think he's personable, and I think you're really going to figure out how much of a player's coach he is today. I think the thing about NC State, in the focus that they have and the hatred that they have, those are the types of things when, I guess you've seen the last few years, even if you have superior talent, that can make up for that gap, and that's why State, I think, is one. these last 3 years. I think the thing really telling, I guess, of the last three was last year, in that UNC didn't show up for that game. I mean, flat out. I mean, they
last year.
Last year. I mean, that was not – I mean, the other two games were just crazy finishes, crazy innings. Last year, UNC didn't show up, and they were a far superior talented team in that game.
Well, after seeing last week in Chestnut Hill, I think North Carolina fans thought during the winning streak that maybe they had put that behind us.
Right.
Mac Brown and Tommy and Buck and Staples covered this on the day after last week. Mac Brown had assured everybody that they were past that, that they had outgrown that they were now focused and they were a little more. And then to come out against Boston College and lay the type of egg that they laid, where they basically had, handful of yards in the first half, and really didn't have anything until the fourth quarter when it was well out of reach. That should absolutely scare any Tar Heel fan about the game today. And I hate to use scared, but it's just, when has this team ever risen to the challenge in a match like this? And that's where I think North Carolina fans are want to be, or rightful to be a little unsettled, a little not sure, a little suspect, or sus as the kids like to say, about how this team's going to show up today. All right, we're going to wrap this segment. We'll be right back. Evan's going to do a little coach speak for us. We'll have some audio clips that we can talk into. We appreciate everybody being here. Look, if you're out in the Bowls lot, come by and say, hey, I put this on Blue Sky earlier, but I've got 2 extra tickets to the game. If you're within the sound of my voice and you're wearing Tar Heel gear and want to come by and want to go to this game today, show up. Bonus points if you're wearing Johnny T-shirt gear, but come by the Inside Carolina tent in the Bowls lot. Tell me, say, hey, let me get those tickets, and I will happily put you on your way to Kenan Stadium free of charge, just because I'm in a great mood because it's Thanksgiving weekend. And I'm here with my pals, Tommy and Evan and AJ. All right, guys, we'll be right back. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
I'm Shaquille Rashad, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill.
This holiday season, Chapel Hill Tire has the perfect gift for you and your car. Free installation on a full set of Michelin tires. Whether you're traveling to visit family, heading to a holiday party, or just tackling your winter errands. With locations in Raleigh, Apex, Cary, Durham, and Chapel Hill, we're here to keep your sleigh rolling all across the triangle. But hurry, this limited time offer won't last long. Stop by your nearest Chapel Hill Tire or visit chapelhilltire.com to take advantage of free installation on Michelin tires. From all of us at Chapel Hill Tire, happy holidays and safe travels.
What's the best part about working in Governor's Village? It's hard to say. Some think it's the generous free parking at the Bold Building. Others rave about the proximity to other locally owned businesses like Gov's Fusion Cantina, Nail Tech, Blue Bamboo, and Tarantini. I'm Cindy Harper Covington, the on-site property manager here at Governor's Village, and I'd love to see your business thrive here too. Become one of the best parts of Governor's Village. Visit us at boldcre.com.
Every day when I'm trying to finish my crossword, people always come up and ask me. They say, Stanley, you seem like you're good with money. What kind of retirement planning tips do you have for me? Well, first I glare at them so they know not to bother me next time. And then I slide a business card over to them. John Stillman at Rosewood Wealth Management. He's the guy for me. Online at meetwithjohn.com.
Stanley Hudson isn't real and therefore wasn't compensated for this endorsement. However, Carolina Wealth Stewards, doing business as Rosewood Wealth Management, is a real registered investment advisor in the state of North Carolina.
Hey, Ellie. Hey, Jack. Did you know it's the most wonderful time of the year at Olmos Jewelers in Eastgate Crossing?
The store is brimming with sparkly pieces and will bring smiles this holiday season.
Because the Olmos Jewelers, helping people find the perfect gift to make the holidays extra special, is what we do best.
With top designers, the best selection of bridal jewelry, and new arrivals, we can always find the perfect piece.
Happy holidays from Olmos Jewelers. Our name means diamonds. Let's engage.
Go visit Jack and Ely at Olmos Jewelers in Eastgate Crossing. Just stop in or visit olmosjewelers.com for more info.
My name is Katherine Hauser, and I now live in a beautiful home, fully renovated by Will Johnson Building Company, and we couldn't be happier. It gives me more joy than you can imagine. I've found my forever home to have all of our memories in, to have our 3 little girls grow up there. And it's truly thanks to the work and the vision of Will Johnson Building Company. I could not have even dreamt up the renovation that they were able to execute. They could see a vision, and they saw it through.
Go to willjohnsonbuildingcompany.com and see for yourself. This is Jeff Denny with Generator Supercenter of the Triangle. We are the #1 Generac residential installer in North America. I really stress with the customers that we are looking to be their generator partner for the next 10, 15, 20 years for their ownership of having a generator. We want to make sure they can rely on us that generator is ready to run and on go when they need it. Go to GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Tommy Ashley.
Inside Carolina Live. Little Jackson Brown running on empty. Tommy requested that bump music today, but he's not even bothered. Can't even be bothered to be over here for the segment when we come back.
Mayor of Bowles Lot.
Because he's Tommy. Yeah, Mayor of Bowles Lot. That's what Evan just called you, and I think he's absolutely right. You wanted to hear Jackson Brown for bump music and weren't even here for it.
Why was Jackson Brown not first?
Because it's not long enough for an open.
Yes, it is. I gave you the third verse. Running on empty.
You can't play it open with lyrics behind it.
Wait.
Yes, you can.
Joey asked you for music for the show? He's never asked me for music.
Because you
can't
don't
even dress
with
yourself
Taylor
properly.
Swift.
You can't even dress yourself properly.
I'm not, I do like Taylor Swift, though.
I got a song. What would you pick?
Vampire Weekend.
Yeah, it'd probably be like some Vampire Weekend stuff.
I've never heard
something
of
like that.
Exactly.
You said it last week.
Tame Impala's pretty
What are
good
we talking about? Here comes the ugliest vehicle in the history of the
Somebody out here driving a trash can with wheels.
It's a Cybertruck for people wondering.
Evan. By the way, I don't
know. That was nice in the back.
Shout out to anybody in the Bowles Lot. If you are running by the Porta Johns today, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you be prepared for shrinkage because it's cold. Evan, give me some coach speak, man, please.
Yeah. So I know Tommy wanted me to pull the clip of Mac talking about the rivalry. Unfortunately, I'd clocked out by the time he sent that text, and I'd already sent I'd already sent in the audio.
I teed it up. Folks, if you're listening right now, I teed up Mac's approach to the rivalry. How could you not pick that clip?
Well, you got to tell him first of the week. That's the thing. You got to tell him early in the week.
It up.
Yeah. You told me otherwise. I would have done it.
I was sitting beside you.
You were. I had a big question to ask.
I tapped you. I was like, watch this.
So I picked two quotes about Mac talking about his intentions to return. I know this is not football talk. I know.
I mean, could you find something more dated? Like this is.
I told you.
That has the shelf life of milk.
Know.
And that's another thing, though. I tapped Evan. I was like, it's time for you to get in action.
And I got in action. But
did you though? Did you really?
Getting back in the studio, we're gonna roll both these clips back to back.
All right, let's do it.
This is what Mac had to say on a number of questions about his potential return if he had talked to Bubba at the time, et cetera, et cetera. Let's get back-to-back quotes going now.
This is going to be fun.
You know, you never talk to your athletic director till the year's over. Everybody always does that. My total focus is on NC State. What an awful thing to be talking about me when we just played a bad game and need to beat State. Now, I've been asked when you're 73, you're asked every day. I've been asked. No. Well, I really hadn't. I mean, recruits have asked every year, every day, how long are you going to do this? And I said, I'm going to do it as long as I'm happy, as long as I'm healthy, and as long as I'm effective. I'm not going to think about retiring. I'm not going to talk about retiring. I hadn't changed that for 6 years. I learned that from Texas. And there will be a morning when I'll get up and I'll say, you know what? Somebody else should be leading this team. They're better than I am at this point. And then I'll go do something else. But I got way too much to do to be worried about next week. I'm trying to beat NC State. Not one player has ever come to me and asked me about my future. Not one coach has ever come to me and asked me about my future. That's what happens this time of the year. It's really funny when I talk to my friends. If you lose a game now, you're fired. It's 100%. It's unbelievable. That got to be gone. And the message boards are worse. I mean, they're all the same thing with just different names. But they all got the same stuff on them, so why do you worry about it? You just got to do your job.
So,
let me get in here.
Well, real quick.
Let me get in here. Don Callahan for Inside Carolina interviewed every recruit.
Every single one of them.
And they were shocked that this happened.
Mm-hmm.
But you never talk to anybody.
Right. Yeah, it's
well, in Mac's defense, there was a lot of coaches speak, obviously, within that.
Yeah, well, that's why we call the segment Coach
But
Speak, Evan.
there were some facts in there in that he did not retire.
He did not.
Technically.
That's what you gleaned. That's what you gleaned from that segment.
That was the one part of it that was not coaches speak. He did not retire.
God Almighty.
And also, I thought it'd be nice to give the Inside Carolina community a shout out to know that Mac Brown is aware of the message boards, and
we've known that for a long time.
And
he
loves them, and
yeah,
he enjoys their input. But in all seriousness, it is crazy to me that. Not crazy. Crazy is the wrong word.
Okay.
But the disconnect in terms of the verbiage that Mac has used throughout the season after losses.
This is where I get a little frustrated when he made the point about and this again we have the benefit of hindsight here. I think the three of us knew when it happened live. I think we all had our thoughts and we had some insight. But right now we're absolutely looking at it with rear view mirror glasses on. So what I will say is when you're thinking about his comments about don't make it about me, when he had just got done talking about the fact that he's going to be here next year, like it's it's one of those things where I think Mac is great for goodwill for this university, but sometimes there's a little bit of hypocrisy, and that's an example of it. Is the comment about about don't make it about me, what a bad thing to do, when he had just got done in the breath before of saying that, hey, I'm going to be back next year. So that's a little frustrating. I do think, looking back on it, that's also, like Tommy said earlier, that would have been an example to say, hey, we're focused on NC State, and throw some red meat to your boys. Throw some red meat to your fans. Make us think that you're not just worried about coaching next year. Make us think that you're worried about the game on Saturday against a team that would rather rip your guts out than sleep themselves.
Right.
I think when I listen to that, let me measure my thoughts here. I think Mac's comments were to call Bubba out. Are you big enough?
Yes.
To fire me?
It's a flex. It's
because
absolutely
at that
flex,
point, Mac knew they were talking that night.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so all of whatever else you think about,
it's posturing.
Is like, are you going to? Do you have the stones enough to fire me?
Yeah.
And to Bubba's credit,
yeah.
And I don't know if I've said that too many times in my life. To Bubba's credit, Bubba said, "Yeah, I got stones to do it."
Yeah.
Well, he called his bluff. I mean, essentially, and did so. One of the most G things and I didn't know Bubba had this in him. One of the most OG things Bubba's ever done was firing Mac on the phone from Maui.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah, but I don't. And we've heard some Twitter talk about with former players and all raising Cain about it happened on the phone and all that stuff. But come on,
what was he going to do? I mean, he had to, the thing is, this was after the most recent press conference. They knew they were going to talk about it later in the week, and like you said, Mac chose to reiterate that he was going to be here and force Bubba's hand a little bit.
Now let me be freely admit.
Be real, son.
If me resigning cost me $3 million or $2.8 million, you can fire me all you want for $2.8 million. But my thing is that this was a power struggle.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was a power struggle coming down the pike for a long time.
It had been boiling.
And that what is going to happen. And to Bubba's credit, and we can see how this all plays out in the next week or so with coaching searches, Coach Sayers, is like, ultimately, Bubba had to make the move.
Yes.
And North Carolina had to move on. And I thought it was a fascinating sort of look into North Carolina's culture.
Yes.
Because, and we can talk about this.
I like where this is going.
And I'm off of this show in a few minutes. But is North Carolina fully committed to football?
And that's something you're going to be able to find out in the next week or two. Because
they
are going to have their picking at a coach. This is the only Power 5 job available right now.
I'll take it even further. I think it's less about picking a coach and more about money talks North Carolina needs to speak up.
No, I don't
needs to get
necessarily. So here's my take on this, and I need to be careful because I don't want to get myself in trouble. But is North Carolina fully committed to football? And that's one thing to say. We got $10 million or whatever.
Right.
It's another thing to say we're going to get rid of all the stuff that has held us back.
Yeah.
All of the
old thinking,
the old school,
yeah.
the
status quo.
The old boy network and all this kind of thing are they going to move forward to totally clean it out? That's Jeremiah
Holloway just stalking
totally
down here.
Clean out every. If I'm a coach coming into this, I don't want to come into this and be like, okay, I'm the new guy on the block, but all these guys that have been around since the beginning of time are still pulling the strings.
Right. So
that is the key to
when me. When I say money talks, North Carolina needs to speak up. I'm not just talking about coach's salary. You've seen the word thrown around a lot this past week. North Carolina needs to pony up with the NIL war chest, the war chest for coaches, assistant coaches' salaries, all of these things that will show that, hey, regardless of what conference we're in, regardless of what happens with the Alston payout, any of that stuff, we're going to step up and we're going to continue to not accept mediocrity. That's the beautiful thing, I think, in parting ways with Mack Brown, is that North Carolina said, okay, we're no longer going to accept mediocrity and the ability to come out on any given Saturday and lay down.
But my thing is, though, is even deeper than that. It's like, okay, so I've got this. I can pull these strings and I can get access. Is North Carolina prepared to get beyond the old way of thinking just to have access? And I think Bubba's move to get rid of Mack is a big move in that angle. Does it make sense to you?
No, it makes
a little bit.
Is like, okay, so I'm old money.
Yeah.
With North Carolina, I like Mack here, or I like whoever here because I get to go to practice, or I get, or my son can get to play on the team, or we can try out and all that kind of stuff. Is North Carolina prepared to make way for whoever the next coach is to have full autonomy into doing what they need to do, and then everybody else supports that rather than angles
then
that.
Bucks at it or tries to kind of circumvent that sort of tenor.
Right. I'm fully in support of Evan. I'm going to support his path forward, or I'm going to shape his path forward. There's a difference.
Yeah, there's a rub there.
And the thing is, and Buck talked about this a lot earlier this year. I think it might have been after the James Madison game, in that institutionally there has not been an all-hands-on-deck approach to football and a full investment in football.
Right.
And this is an opportunity for a clean slate to prove and show that, especially in a time that we're in right now, where football not only is king, but I think what you're seeing is football is not only king, but there's a trickle-down effect.
Yeah.
Look at the SEC. Not only in football,
follow the money,
but in
Evan.
basketball.
Follow the money, young Evan.
You could argue that SEC basketball might be the best conference in basketball this year. And that's the trickle-down that you're seeing where, you have to treat football like the king because it is the king. And in a world where revenue sharing is sooner than later, obviously the NIL, the transfer portal, where money talks in recruiting more than ever, UNC has an opportunity to show that it's ready to jump into that pool and make that investment.
The last thing, and Tommy, I think you may have hit the nail on the head earlier this week, or maybe it was Greg, but you've done so many shows, I don't remember which one. But I think the other thing to think about is there is an opportunity here with the settlement from the NIL case and then North Carolina turning over this new leaf, for North Carolina to instantly get back on level field with some of these other big-time programs. North Carolina has a chance if they can jump back in the pool and then back that with an NIL collective that is strong. Because again, what was Mack's big thing? He could always recruit. Recruiting doesn't matter anymore. It's more about what kind of check can you write.
Yeah, exactly.
And so with North Carolina having this opportunity, if they've got the checkbook and they've got somebody new, and now they've got the chance with this house settlement coming in to kind of reset things, this is a chance for North Carolina to catch back up and kind of make probably 4 or 5 steps that usually would probably take 1. So I don't know if that makes sense, but it makes sense in my head, and that's all that really matters.
Well, my thing is it's not just players. It's not just the team. It's everything.
Everything that touches
this
the football
right here,
center.
what we're looking at. It is going all in on the culture around the locker room. It's going all in on the culture around game day.
Yeah.
It's going all in about making this an event.
What can we do instead of why can't we do something?
Exactly. And what we've seen, and I go and I sit in Kenyon Stadium, and we don't sit with the masses anymore, but we sit, and it's like what can we do to make this better, to make this a big deal for everybody and not just the elite. And I think that is a big part, because if I'm a coach coming in, if I'm coming from a Georgia, or if I'm coming from a head coach
P2 school,
whatever,
yeah.
then I want to make sure that we have the ability to do what we have to do to make this a big deal, and not just you're putting me in as a cog in
for an existing
well-oiled machine that is mediocre.
It can't be plug and play. This has to be a situation where you're talking about an entirely overhaul of the engine.
And I think that aspect of it with the new administration, and whether you agree with the administration angle or not, on a multitude of different levels.
Let's follow this, Tommy. I think this is a good question. Sonny Crook in the chat asked you, what do you mean by clean out stuff? Name the stuff. I'm not disagreeing. I would like to know what the stuff is. So let me give some examples. I think this mindset of why North Carolina can't host a night game during the week, right? Like, I know there's parking issues. Work around it. Stop using that as an excuse. Stop letting that stop you. Find ways to problem solve and find solutions-oriented strategies rather than saying why we can't do something. Yeah. Let's, and again, I know everybody buries game day operations, and I think that's part of it. Like, what can they do to improve the game day experience? I know we get surveys every year about what do you want to do better. Are those actually, is the data from those actually being used? What was the last time North Carolina did something that you felt like overhauled the game day experience, and what was it?
I think the bell tower lot that they've got going on.
That's a step in the right direction.
I think that's pretty cool.
That's a step in the right direction. But give me some other examples of the stuff we're talking about, because I think you can say it without burying anybody.
I think that's probably it.
Yeah, game day stuff.
Yeah,
it's whatever the focus needs to be. I think for a long time there's been some thoughts that we're Carolina, people will come to the games. That ain't happening anymore. And you can tell right now, you're playing your biggest rival. I know it's cold outside, but you're playing your biggest rival on a Saturday of a holiday weekend at 3:30 in the dadgum afternoon. Shout out to Roy Williams. And this lot ain't full.
Yeah.
Like, it just, again, figure out what the problem is and solve it. You can ask all the questions in the world and say this and that and the other thing, but at some point there's got to be some new thinking, some new ideas, some, again, solutions-oriented practices as opposed to, we'll just, we'll roll the ball out there and let's go.
What do you think, Evan? You're a
come on, young man.
I think for me is like, how far are you in? How far do you want to get in? As far as you got the academic side, you got the admissions side, and all that kind of stuff. But how far do you want to get into encouraging people to be in, encouraging people to tailgate, encouraging the bell tower we've talked about. But not only that, on the field. Spend money for NIL, spend money for a quarterback, spend money for coordinators, spend money for a head coach. Is to go all the way in there,
right.
and throwing money
Tommy,
is not necessarily at it.
Here's one for you. There's been some long carried thought, and I'm going to echo it here. There ain't no such thing as halfway crooks. And if you're going halfway, if you're just dipping in, you're not going to win. You can't. Think about anything you've done in life. Have you ever done anything halfway and felt good about the result, or that you achieved what you were trying?
No.
Right.
Nobody's ever gone half-ass and had success.
Don't half-ass a bunch of things. Whole-ass one thing, Ron Swanson. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back, and shout out to Cole Descending for catching my Mob Beef reference. We're going to be right back. We're going to talk with Jason Staples a little bit of game planning, X's and O's in our Game Day Staples segment. Shout out to Tommy and Evan. We're out here braving the wind and the cold, but it's going to be a great day in Kenyon Stadium. We're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
This is George Lynch, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live at 97.9 The Hill.
Hey, Chris, what's going on at Mark Jacobson Toyota?
Toyotathon.
Toyotathon?
That's right. Toyotathon is back. Rates as low as 3.99% on Camry, Corolla,
why are they panicking here? I mean, you're down 7, you're down 13. You know, you got 10 possessions left in the game. There's 6, 7 possessions left in the game. You still got to do what you do. You can't, and that's the thing. A lot of teams, and this again, it frustrates me. I don't understand it, because if you're a team where the best thing you can do to make you most likely to score is running the football, and you get down 2 scores in the first half, the absolute worst thing you can do is throw it, because now you're less likely to score.
Especially with the struggles at quarterback.
Right. So, I mean, why would you panic and then say, "Oh man, we got to score more, so let's do the thing that we actually are, that's going to make us less likely to score"? That's the part that drives me nuts. It's like, you understand what you do best to put points on the board, and no, you haven't put them on the board yet. But like you said, with Duke, the thing they realize, they're down 20, but that's 3 possessions. If there's 5 possessions left in the game, that means you just got to score on the possessions you have left and get a couple stops. You got 5 possessions left, that's 35 points you can score. So you just got to do that. And the only reason to throw it more is essentially to stop the clock. Because you're stopping the clock, and it takes less time. You're running less clock when you throw it. Well, with the modern clock rules, that's less of a factor. You might as well just run it, because with the modern clock rules, the clock rolls more often. So just do what you do. Don't panic, and you've got to stick with what your best stuff is. I get the part where he says we wanted to show him a few different things. That part makes sense, because every team you play is going to come in loaded up to stop Omari and Hampton. And you're going to want to have some play action. You're going to want to have some RPO stuff. You're going to want to have some, like I mentioned, jet sweep options this week. You want to have some things to force them to, at least honor some other stuff. So you have to present some of those other looks. But you can't go away from what you do. And I'm all the more of the mind that when you're in a rivalry game, ultimately, you have to do what you do. You have to do what you do best in a rivalry game, and then you have a couple wrinkles off of that. This would be a great game if you've got a really good flea flicker. This would be a great game where in the right situation, when they're coming downhill hard and Hampton's been running it well, that's when you pull out that flea flicker. That's when you do some of these things that you have a little wrinkle. But by and large, you win rivalry games. The team that wins rivalry games is the team that does what it does best and doesn't blink.
Jason, I'm talking with Jason Staples here on Inside Carolina Live. Jason, the elephant in the room, of course, is everything that's going on this week with a coaching change on tap. Matt Brown's last game, players mulling their futures. We've seen transfer portal reports and all this. How coaches have to mull their future? How much is a game like this sort of I don't want to call it a rehearsal or showcase for what I can do, whether I'm a player, coach, or whatever, for maybe the next stop or the next job or the next team? And how many times do players take it that way versus a lot of people are concerned of, talk about win one for the Gipper or screw it, we're not going to play hard. I mean, what's the dynamic in a game like this?
All I can speak for is myself to some degree on this. And my take is every time you're out there, you're out there trying to show how great you are, how good you are. You're out there being evaluated by, the next opportunity. That's every time you're out there. This is your opportunity to show who you are. And if you're going out there at any other point, whether it's this time or 5 games ago, middle of the season, and if you're going out there with any other mentality, I don't understand. I mean, you don't get very many opportunities to go out there. I mean, if you play 5 years in college and you never get hurt, you're going to play like what? On a really successful team, you're going to play like what, 56 games? That's not very many games. You get 11 of these, 12 of these, on average each year. You get 12 regular season games. That's not a whole lot. Those aren't a bunch of opportunities. You get 12 opportunities to show what you're made of. So for me, like, that's the mentality. I guess, though, that some guys, that's a little bit less motivating in that respect. And of course, rivalry stuff and coaching changes and possible opportunities that may follow being more imminently visible are factors. But dang, like, if you need that help to motivate you, I think things are already wrong. That's kind of my take, is like, if you need that to get you motivated, you're already on the losing track.
Jason, we got a couple of minutes left. I think you touched on something that folks might be curious about today. What could Chip Lindsey have left in his bag today? What could there be? We've seen them use a flea flicker. We've seen them use a couple of end arounds. We've seen them use a couple of throwback passes. What could be in his bag today that we haven't seen yet that they might actually serve the Tar Heels well?
Well, I think you've got some other opportunities with just because you've shown a flea flicker doesn't mean you can't run it again. Right? Because the whole thing is contingent on backers and safeties starting to trigger downhill, and you do that. I think you've got your screen and go that he hasn't really run much this year, where they've run some wide receiver screens with some success. They haven't really run the slip out of one of the receiver blockers up the sideline on that. You've got an opportunity to hit that. I think, again, anytime you're coming into this kind of game with an aggressive secondary, you've got an opportunity for a flea flicker. And there's any number of versions of that. I think you've got your Philly special type thing where you've got a reverse pass to from a wide receiver, and you just have to have the receiver that throws it best. And they've had a couple different double reverses or reverse pass or whatever, but all that's gone through the quarterback. They haven't really shown, get it to the receiver who can throw it. So there are a few things that are still left in that bag. I don't think they've really done a whole lot this year that means that they don't have a whole lot left. I think there's opportunities in this game to break something out in the right situation.
Well, I think it's funny you mentioned that, because Caleb Hood is a guy that still has the potential to play, and he was a high school quarterback that had quite a cannon. And so maybe having him at a skill position could be of benefit to North Carolina today. But Doc, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you again for whatever the bowl game is. So if you're excited for Shreveport or El Paso or what have you, get yourself together and we'll talk then.
Appreciate it. I'm thankful for you, Joey.
Oh, the feeling's mutual, bud. This is Jason Staples. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live. We'll be right back. Hour 2, getting you ready for Tar Heels and Wolfpack here on Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
You too, Tommy.
I'm Shamon Williams, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
It's time for the Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. In a frustrating loss at Boston College, the Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game came from the special teams. After the Eagles jumped out to a 17-0 lead early in the game, Carolina changed the momentum dramatically to get back into the game when backup kick returner Chris Culliver sparked the scoring with Carolina's longest kick return touchdown in 8 years.
Far side of the 5. England in the near side of the field. Culliver has a big lane. He's at the 30, 35, gets the corner turn. Culliver may take it. He's at the BC 30, 25, 20. Culliver to the 10, the 5. No flags. Touchdown, Carolina. Culliver, 95 yards to the house.
That was this week's Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. Save $25 when you spend $75 or more at any of Chapel Hill Tire's 11 area locations. Find and click on the Drive of the Game banners on chapelboro.com for full details, and drive happy, Tar Heels.
My name is Catherine Hauser, and I now live in a beautiful home, fully renovated by Will Johnson Building Company, and we couldn't be happier. Rebecca's my go-to. She'll point me in the right direction. The architect Whitney helped do some of our design work. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about our project manager, who was on the job site and helping make make sure I felt comfortable with and that I knew what I was deciding on. So I give a lot of credit to him for seeing that vision come to life for us.
Go to WillJohnsonBuildingCompany.com and see for yourself.
Hey, Ellie. Hey, Jack. Share a fun fact from the jewelry business. December into the New Year's is the most popular time of year to get engaged. We know this because we have the best selection of bridal jewelry at Allman's Jewelers.
Diamond and gemstone earrings, rings, and bracelets make a splash for folks looking for that extra special gift.
Most important, gifts from the heart go a long way, and you don't have to break the bank to find something beautiful and special.
Stackable rings and bracelets have been so popular this season.
Go visit Jack and Ely at Oma's Jewelers in Eastgate Crossing. Just stop in or visit omasjewelers.com for more info.
I'm Jeremy Salonson with CIMG Residential Mortgage. There are optimistic signs and trends in housing these days, so you may be asking, is this the right time to buy or sell, and what can I afford? Well, we're here to help you buy or refinance your home with an experienced team, creative solutions, personalized service, and efficient systems. Contact us at CIMGINC.com and see firsthand the advantages of lending on a first-name basis. NMLS number 39460.
For over 20 years, there's been no better place online for the Tar Heel sports community than Inside Carolina. Exclusive recruiting information, in-depth team analysis, insightful podcasts. There's nowhere else that you'll find a level of daily content about the Tar Heels than InsideCarolina.com. Join the best community for Tar Heel sports around. The Tar Heels are your hometown team, and Inside Carolina is your hometown site for Tar Heel sports.
Hi, it's Jones Angel, voice of the Tar Heels, and you're listening to your flagship station for Tar Heel sports, 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, Chapel Hill.
Coming to you straight from a Carolina football tailgate party in the heart of the southern part of heaven, from the independent voice of UNC sports, covering everything from Amos Lawrence to Zach Brown. This is Inside Carolina Live. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
Shout out to Tupac Amaru Shakur. Hour 2.
Evan didn't know who that was. That's insane.
Why does that shock you? We're listening to...
I'm going to get you a book called The Rose That Grew From Concrete.
Yes.
It's a book of all of Tupac's poems.
All his poetry.
You got to read that.
All right, listen.
I like poetry.
Inside Carolina
I know
Live.
you do. That's why I'm going to get you that.
Hour 2. We're in the Bowls lot. The wind is cold, but we are warm, and we are bringing you all the hot takes about UNC football as they will kick off against NC State in about 2 hours. Hey, by the way, I got some breaking news. I don't know if Aaron Keck has a breaking news sounder back in the station, but if he had a breaking news sounder, you would hear it right now. Breaking news about North Carolina's coaching search. Evan Rogers, not a candidate. Just putting that out there.
They're looking for someone young. Absolutely not.
Some young blood. Not a candidate.
Absolutely not.
I don't know where the office is. I'm young. Listen.
If I were to be a coach, I'd have to be a hybrid, probably remote, 3 days of the week.
What?
Man.
Yeah.
This is why you can't be trusted. Your whole existence is sus, Evan. All right, listen.
Let's plan, yo. Like I take the DBs. It's over.
Let's get some.
Best secondary in the nation.
Evan is Skibbity, Ohio. All right, let's.
That's crazy.
I'm
not Gen Alpha.
let's dive in a little bit. This is one of Searcy's favorite segments. Talk a little bit of memory lane, and this is not going to be a fun segment for Searcy because
it's not
because he wore a goose egg.
It's
against
half
NC
and
State.
half. It's half and half because our rivalries was Duke and State.
Okay, all right.
So it's half and half.
Well, all I know is you wore the collar against NC State, and that's unfortunate.
Yes, but I'm 4-0 against Duke.
Help me understand how do you get a team, especially when you have a coach that says every game is the same. It can't be that way against a rivalry.
It can't be a rivalry.
So how do you change when your coaches are telling you it's one thing and they're presenting one thing? How do you get up for a game like this?
See, me personally, my rivalry was Georgia Tech because I grew up with the guys that was on Georgia Tech.
I mean the team's rivalry, not the guy from Decatur.
I get it, but you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I understood the significance of the rivalry because these are guys who grew up together, playing against each other, like the guys that I grew up seeing and playing against when they would end up going to Georgia Tech. So you want to win. It's bragging rights. I know for me personally, I wasn't gonna see nobody from Duke and NC State in the offseason.
Ever,
but I knew other guys on the team who, like I said, who played with them, went to school with some of the guys. They wanted those bragging rights, and I hate we couldn't get a win against NC State when I was here. They had an awesome team when I was here for sure, but I mean, I was also 4-0 against Duke, so I can't. I got, you know, if I got to go 50-50, I take it. At least I got wins on one of the rivalries. But I would have loved to got a win over NC State while I was here. The most I got was, you know, I had a good punt and kick return average against NC State, and I got an interception against NC State. So I mean, I can hang my hat on something. Matter of fact, that interception ball against NC State, I still have it. So,
but what is how do you fight that mindset when you know these guys hate you? They would rather beat you than breathe.
Right.
How do you match that?
You got to know that. But you got to have that same energy. You got to be willing to beat them as bad as they want to beat you, and that's what it comes down to in these rival games, because the emotions are high. You got, you know, some guys on the team, you know, grandma and grandpa met at the same university. Mom and dad met at the same university. Now you're the third generation at the university. So you want to keep that tradition going. Like that's the significance I always tell people about the difference between the NFL and college football, because you don't have grandparents that met at a Giants game or Panthers game, but they met on campus at a university. So it's more significance to it, and you want those bragging rights for the year for sure.
Who did you hate more when you were playing here?
When I was playing, who I hate
Don't say Georgia
more?
Tech. I get it, but don't say Georgia Tech.
Duke.
Really?
Probably because they was closer, and sometimes we just run into a couple of them players on Franklin Street, and I used to be like, "Why are you over here?" Like, you know, like sometimes we just get into it in certain after hour eating spots and whatnot, and they used to get mad at us because we used to be like, "You go to Duke, you're like, shut up, you can't talk to us." But it is what it is. That's who I pitted my hatred, and I know hate is a strong word, but that's who my rival was. I didn't want to, because I knew, like me as a student that used to go visit Central sometimes, I knew I'd probably run into somebody from Duke, so I always wanted those bragging rights over a Dookie for sure. But at the end of the day, I still wish I would have got at least one win over State to hang my hat on. But it didn't happen. It happens. I know plenty of guys who went through college and never beat their rivalry, so I'm not the only one in the boat. But I wish we could have got it done.
So let's have some fun. Best trash talk you ever heard from anybody, from any game. What was it like? And I'm thinking it's probably one of those things where somebody says something, it just takes your breath. You can't even say to the back. You're like, God, you got me. Like, what? Best trash talk you ever heard from a teammate and from an opponent.
It wasn't from me. It was okay.
Doesn't have to be from you, but that you ever heard.
The best trash talk I heard was my sophomore year against Duke. We was coming off a TV timeout, and Duke was getting ready to punt the ball, and we was on punt return. So we standing there, the referee is standing over the ball, and we're drawing back and forth with Duke.
Right.
Like full-on.
As one does.
Full-on assault, back and forth, and the referee all he could do is just sit here and turn his head like this the whole time. He was like, man, I got to hear.
He's just waiting for the next
Right, he waiting for the TV timeout to end. You know what I'm saying? Because we was starting like the fourth quarter, so he was over the ball and whatnot, and we standing there, we pointing. They talking like, yeah, oh yeah, we getting this one. We like, no, you're not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like, we finna go down and score this possession right here. So it was just a whole bunch of trash talking. The referee was like, man, I live for moments like this. And he was enjoying the whole thing. So then he was like, y'all ready? Then he heard me blew the whistle, and he jumped out of there quick, you know. But that was one of the most funnest moments, because that's when I first got like immersed into it as a sophomore with both sides going back and forth. Because when I first got here as a freshman, it was always just Carolina fans saying they hate Duke. It was Duke fans saying they hate Carolina. But to actually be in the midst of it, it was pretty insane. And then the crazy thing, I ain't gonna tell this story.
Tell it.
All right.
You can remove the names to protect the innocent.
The craziest thing I ever heard, I was in Tennessee, and we was playing the Patriots. And I wasn't in on the tackle, but I was over on the play. So the guy on my team who made the tackle, he got up, and he started talking trash to Aaron Hernandez. So I'm a rookie.
Who might actually kill you, as history has,
you know what I'm saying? So
history has proven that he is actually a murderer.
So our teammate talking trash to Aaron Hernandez, you know.
Like, y'all know he's got bodies, right?
Aaron Hernandez, we didn't know at the time, you know. So I come over, I congratulate my teammate, like, yeah, good tackle, you know, it's 4th down, we off the field. And then Aaron Hernandez stood up and was like, MFI, kill you. And I was like, so when he said it at the time, we was like, man, you ain't doing nothing. Get back on the sideline.
And that's how Da'Norris ended up on Dateline.
And then 2 off seasons later, breaking news, you see him on TV getting arrested. I'm like, man, he was for real.
He legitimately has bodies, and legitimately is on paper for killing people.
Hey man, but I've heard people. I heard people all my life. You know, in football, it was like next play, you come through this gap, I'm gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying?
But he's the only one that literally actually followed through with it. Yeah.
Yes, like you know what I'm saying? Like so
my God.
At the time to hear him say that, we like, man, you know, like we brushing it all. Like, man, it's a game, man. Get your butt back on the sideline and whatnot. And then like
meanwhile he's walking back down the tunnel. Yeah.
2 off seasons later, we in training camp, and they showed the cameras. And they pulled up to his house and arrested him and whatnot. I was like, man, he was for real. Like,
Evan, this is the first that we've heard of an actual interaction with a murderer on Inside Carolina Live.
Hey, we gotta get the ratings up, but it's true.
All right, listen. All right. So listen. What when you see games like this that are a rivalry game,
right?
A lot of times, what happens is, specifically on North Carolina's side, historically, is they come out and they can't match the opponent's intensity. What sorts of things happen in the locker room or happen that week that can make these things one-sided?
Lack of focus. We got a lot going on this week with a lot of guys knowing that this
you
is
think
this is coach's last game. So you got seniors that's like, I'm glad I played for them all 4 years. You got younger classmen and underclassmen trying to decide what they're gonna do. Like, is they gonna stay? Who's the next coach gonna come in? Or whatever. So it's a lot of distractions. Then you got family in town because it's Thanksgiving.
Yep.
It's senior day, so a lot of guys may not be focused in. A lot of emotions was high. I know my senior day, it was emotional because I knew it was the last time I was going to play with the guys that I came in my recruit class. It was the last time I was going to put on the Carolina uniform.
And that stuff matters, man.
It does. It does. I mean, especially if you're a guy that, like, I had plans to play at the next level in the NFL, but still the uncertainty of knowing, like, is this the last time I'm going to put on an actual football uniform? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, if it is, I'm glad I did it for my university. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of emotions that goes into it. So it's a lot of things that could distract you and deter you from the ultimate goal, which is getting a win at the end of the day.
On emotions, if you were a player last year, you were playing this year, and you saw the comments that Dave Dorn made after the game last year.
Do you remember what he said?
The POS.
He said North Carolina. He called, like, in front of a camera, said North Carolina were pieces of ish.
Right.
And I get it's a year removed, but is that something that can be
absolutely
motivational?
That would have been.
Would that be a focal point throughout the week?
That would have been on every TV monitor throughout the facility.
On
that
loop.
would have been on
loop.
On loop. Right. That would hang it in my locker. I want to see it every day.
Yeah.
Hang it over the door when we go out to practice. I want to see that. Like, I want to see that. Like I said, in the sense, you challenge who we are as a team. You challenge who we are as a character. You challenge each individual on that team. So I definitely want some get back for that. Like, those games, like these are moments like you won't get to relive again. The only time you get to relive them again is when you come here to tailgate. So to actually be on the field and have an impact in the game, to hear a coach say that about me and my teammates, it'll light a fire up underneath me because I want to go out there and prove them wrong and win.
Butch was notorious for being that every game is the same type of guy. What would he do behind the cameras inside the football center to get y'all fired up?
He'll tell us, you know who's coming into town, you know how the people in this community feel about this team, and we need to go out there and get a win for sure. Like,
anything special though? Like I've always, you've heard about coaches in rivalry games before.
I know my sophomore year we got beat pretty bad by NC State. So junior year when we was getting close to playing NC State, he hung that score up around. We saw that score on every monitor in the building, so we got tired of looking at it. So it was like a motivation of what they did when they came to our house last year. So it was just little snippets like that. But I mean, me personally, I always, if we're suiting up, I want to go out there and play. Like I want to win regardless, because I mean the amount of work you put in every week. To be able to go out there and showcases on the field is part of the reward. So I definitely want to go out there and win, especially a rivalry game. Like I said, like me knowing, like, back then, if I knew I was going to live up here fully, I probably took.
Yeah.
the rivalry a little bit more serious so I can talk trash to everybody. Like, I know my Duke neighbors, I stand outside on my lawn. I hang banners in my yard,
All right. So obviously you didn't have a ton of success as a player. Did you guys win the year you were coach? The year you were on staff here?
No.
God, man.
No. That's insane.
I don't know if I want to go to the game with you today.
I'm not going. I don't know if I'm going. I might go home. I might go home and watch it.
You got me concerned now.
I don't know. Maybe it's a red thing. I grew up wearing red all my life, and then all of a sudden I switched to blue when I came to college. Folks back home was mad at me because I didn't wear red no more, and I'm like, well, I can't.
That's not how it works.
Thank you, but they didn't understand that. They were just like, nah, you supposed to represent all the time. I'm like, I can't. I am representing. I'm representing where I go to school at. That's who paying for my education. So I'm gonna wear blue all day. So, but maybe that's what it was. I don't know, man. But I mean, like again, man, I wish we would have got a win. I always had good games against State. We just never came out on the other end. But maybe it's the day. We need it.
You're getting your win today.
All right, fingers crossed.
Listen, we're gonna take a break. We'll be right back. Let's get your questions in here, all you folks. So we've had over 100 folks in the chat today. A lot of folks listen to us terrestrially on 97.9 FM locally or on chapelboro.com. Hit us up with some questions, either drop in the YouTube chat or hit the hit the show thread on the message boards. We'd love to get your questions. We'll give somebody a $50 Johnny T-shirt gift card. You can go buy some swag, some goodness. I'll be right back with a little bit of IC Takeover. That's your questions. Next segment here on Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
This is Ryan Taylor, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
This holiday season, Chapel Hill Tire has the perfect gift for you and your car. Free installation on a full set of Michelin tires. Whether you're traveling to visit family, heading to a holiday party, or just tackling your winter errands. With locations in Raleigh, Apex, Cary, Durham, and Chapel Hill, we're here to keep your sleigh rolling all across the triangle. But hurry, this limited time offer won't last long. Stop by your nearest Chapel Hill Tire or visit chapelhilltire.com to take advantage of free installation on Michelin tires. From all of us at Chapel Hill Tire, happy holidays and safe travels.
This is Jeff Denning with Generator Supercenter of the Triangle. We are the #1 Generac residential installer in North America. We have run our footprint here in Chapel Hill and Durham and Carborough. The purpose of having a generator is to have backup power when you need it, so it has to be ready at all times. We've had customers wanting a new generator, and then customers that already have a generator that want us to service it, maintain it, fix it. Go to GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com.
I'm Dana Wicker-Cantrell with Caldwell Banker HPW. There are so many loose ends to tie up before you can purchase a home. Having someone that has working knowledge and also is a professional on your side throughout the process from start to finish is invaluable in a lot of ways. The people who I work with appreciate that because they know it's above and beyond.
For more information, go to DanaCantrellRealty.com.
New Hope Church offers so much more than just Sunday services. Hey Tar Heels, I'm Adam Bishop, senior pastor here to share about all the ways you can connect in community and make new friends regardless of whatever season you're life in. Maybe you're a new parent, maybe you've got elementary age students, maybe you're a college student, a young professional, empty nester. We have multiple ways for you to connect and make friends with people who are in the same season of life. And here's the good news. There are a variety of options to fit whatever your busy schedule may look like. So check out our website, newhopechurch.org, to see all of these group opportunities for you to both make new friends and experience hope.
Hey, Chris, what's going on at Mark Jacobson Toyota?
Toyotathon.
Toyotathon?
That's right. Toyotathon is back. Rates as low as 3.99% on Camry, Corolla, and RAV4. $1,000 holiday bonus cash on Tacoma and Tundra.
Yeah, but do you actually have those cars?
You bet we do. We have more cars than we've had in years, and even more on the way.
Toyotathon is on at Mark Jacobson Toyota, 15501, just north of I-40, where we say yes!
3.99% APR on select new Camry, Corolla, and RAV4 with qualified credit. $1,000 cash on new Tundra and Tacoma. School authority Pro and Joe House. Does not require financing.
This is Dwight Schrute, assistant to the regional manager. Listen, I have a specific philosophy when it comes to my financial planning. When I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing. And if that's not enough and I still need additional help with my financial decision making, I call John Stillman at Rosewood Wealth Management. Online at meetwithjohn.com.
Dwight Schrute isn't real and therefore wasn't compensated for this endorsement. However, Carolina Wealth Stewards doing business as Rosewood Wealth Management is a real registered investment advisor in the state of North Carolina.
You're listening listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
Just let it slip. Yo. Who this?
His palms are sweaty.
Okay, let that run, Aaron.
Heavy, there's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's joking how? Everybody's joking now.
Aaron Keck back at the studio on the board. I'm fairly certain if there's anyone's around, he's fighting them right now after hearing that intro, because it'll do that to you. Shout out to all of our listeners on 8 Mile and down in the ATL.
Yes.
A-Town, Shorty.
Yes.
I know, sir.
My Atlanta fam tuning in. Love you guys.
Sir said there's some Atlanta folk listening to us. We appreciate them being here.
I always send them a link every week. Let's go.
And we appreciate everybody in the Bowls lot stopping by. Shout out to all of you 100 and so folks that's been in the chat all day. We love it. Evan, I got a couple of decent questions on here. Do you have anything on your end that you want to hit?
My phone's not loading right now, but I'll read them.
That's great. So you're wearing a red shirt and your phone doesn't work. Have you done anything today worth a damn? My God, man!
I did make my
bed this is your mama's favorite pregame show.
Didn't know the last artist was Tupac,
and your mama's favorite pregame show, and you're out here messing up right and left. Don't be an embarrassment for your mom.
I could blame my mom that my data's slow because I'm on the phone plan.
Oh my God! He's still on his mom and dad's phone plan. At what age? Is she going to tell you how many hot dogs you're allowed to have at the game too?
Yeah.
My God!
All right,
It came up. There we go.
You're in trouble when you get home.
IC Takeover segment brought to you by Johnny T-Shirt.
Punishment when you get home.
Evan, can you please stop being terrible and actually ask some questions from our listeners?
Yeah, we're gonna start with North State Tees.
North State, shout out! Hey, North State Tees has won one of our giveaways before, so shout out to them.
Bet. Welcome back.
They ask, how many yards does Hampton, that is Amari Hampton, need to carry for a UNC victory today?
I say about 30.
30 yards?
30 carries.
30 carries.
30
carries.
yards.
How many
yards? You're going to need at least 30 carries. I say about 200 yards for sure. 2 touchdowns. We got to eat clock. They got to do it through a QB who can make things happen with his feet and his arm. So when we had the ball, we had to eat as much clock as possible and get all the field on third downs. But I would say, for sure, with that first question, Amari needs at least 30 carries, right. 200 yards.
Last week, Chip Lindsey absolutely committed player malfeasance.
Yes.
Because you have one of the most accomplished runners in North Carolina football history, one of the best players for yardage after contact of anybody that's ever touched a football in the modern era, and you only gave him 11 touches. This week is going to be his last game in a UNC uniform. You need to run that dude until his legs fall off. If you want to commit malfeasance last week by not using him, this week I need your malfeasance to be
30,
overuse.
At least 30.
This week it needs to be overuse. If you want to absolutely throw in some wrinkles and let Caleb Hood come in for a couple of carries just to give him a breather, fine. If you want Davion Goss to come in and get some carries for a breather, fine. But I need you to absolutely run Omarion until he tells you I can't run anymore.
This is the definition of a workhorse game.
Evan, you want to see me lose my mind? Have a situation today where they don't give him the ball on an absolutely unnecessarily regular basis.
Right. I mean,
let that happen today and see how I react.
The middle of the year, the conversation around Amarian was, is he going to get worn out? Are they giving him too many carries? This is the last game of the season.
It doesn't matter.
This is the last game.
You got to leave it out on the field, Dan.
Exactly.
I mean, I agree. I think he needs to get at least 30. I could even vouch for 35 carries.
Because with the bowl game, he have at least a week, 2 weeks to rest, recover, rehab.
Yeah. He ain't playing a ball game.
He's not playing a ball
game. He ain't playing a ball game.
He got enough time.
He ain't playing a ball game.
Yeah, you're right about that. It's wishful thinking, man. It's wishful thinking. I'm just throwing it out there, but yeah, this is last. If this is his last game, and the coaching staff already noticed it's his last game in the uniform, give him the rock. Let him go out on top. Let him go out representing even though he's not a senior. Let him go out helping the seniors get a win over in-state rivalry. That'll make not only the fans' day, but it'll make the seniors' day getting a win against State, their last game in Kingdom.
All right, Evan. Next question.
We got Ryan Z.
All right.
I'm getting that one later. But talking about how UNC can help prevent C.J. Bailey using his legs getting out of the pocket. Last week, Mac admitted that they were surprised at Grayson James' ability to run. You saw that James had some timely runs there. What can UNC do defensively? I mean, I feel like the mobile dual-threat quarterback has just been
lane.
Say it with me.
Lane integrity.
Yes.
And a spy.
Lane integrity. And I don't even think you need to spy him. Like I just straight it's gap and lane integrity and don't over pursue.
Right.
I mean, last week how many
D ends don't rush too far?
How many times did they get washed up field?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How many times last week did they get washed up field?
Once you reach QB depth, you got to hold your ground. You got to throttle. We call it
cut
throttle.
back
You got to
inside.
throttle it down.
Yeah,
yep,
you got to throttle down, try to get back inside, turn that shoulder however you need to.
Absolutely.
Yes, they're giving out free. Whatever you're giving out, yes, we'll take free of them. Thank you.
Energy drink.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can take a picture. Thank you.
Yes. So I think it's as simple as not getting washed up field. It's not over pursuing when you're past the quarterback's angle.
Okay.
It's one of those things where you absolutely have to pay attention to where you are on the field at all times and not allow yourself to get washed down or over pursued. Cersei, I like your concept of a spy, but I like the spy as a concept more than I do in practice. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you never know if now we can't control gap integrity and he's busting long runs on us and converting third downs on us, then yes, we may need a spy to come in and like chase him down.
Therein is something I'd like to ask. There's something I'd like to drill down on is the fact that if they start break and contain on us and he starts getting some runs, does North Carolina adapt?
Yeah,
that is where I got frustrated.
Yeah.
That's where I got frustrated last week is because they continued doing the same things the entire game until well into the third quarter when Grayson James was still eating them up just because the pocket broke down.
Right.
You've got to be able to, if you can't keep him inside of the pocket, if you can't hold him in, you've got to change something about what you're doing. Whether that means not crashing so hard, whether that means bringing more stuff up the middle, I don't know. But last week they did not adapt, and it absolutely killed them.
Exactly.
Next question, sir.
Got to make halftime adjustments for sure.
We got Sean Crawley asking this, and there's been some similar types of questions around this topic. If Carolina beats State today, does Matt get the satisfaction of taking Coach Doran off the ledge with him? Basically, implying it would stay fired.
Let me start
would
first.
keep State from going to a bowl game.
Sure.
So they're home for Christmas watching us play.
Well, the question is more of will NC State fire Dave Doran if they lose? This is not an NC State show. I did not pretend to know a ton about what's going on with their school, but this guy's got a Mercedes. Look at him. This guy's driving around a Mercedes, showing up late like he's important. So what I will say, this is not an NC State program. I do know that Dave Doran has a pretty hefty buyout right now. I think he signed an extension recently. I don't know what the financials are of the Wolfpack Club or anything like that. I do know it would probably be a pretty big price tag if they were to fire him this year. So even if North Carolina wins, I'm not sure that's going to kind of come to fruition. Again, not an NC State show, not pretending like I know all of this, but I've read enough and heard enough from folks that he's got a pretty healthy buyout, and I'm not sure that's really on the table for them this year.
Right. So what's best what's going to come from this is they just going to be at home watching the bowl game.
That's really the best.
They get an early Christmas present.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I think maybe his seat gets warmer over the offseason, but
you going to get this question from DSK Reptiles or no?
I got you.
All right, just want to make sure. I can't trust
Good
you.
Good name, by the way.
Yeah.
DSK Reptiles.
DSK Reptiles.
DSK Reptiles.
This guy has like newts and
got some good.
Hang on, I'm talking about DSK
got
Reptiles.
Good emoji usage in
the guy's got all kinds of like iguanas and velociraptors and other sorts.
Okay, I was with you till you said velociraptors.
All right, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead, Evan.
but I think this is a relevant, obviously, topic around this game.
I'm not going to make you spell velociraptor either.
DSK asks if we think or if you guys think
Park.
that UNC comes out and plays emotional, he says with his hair on fire for Mac, or do you think they come out flat, maybe upset about the change of Mac being let go this week? How do you think the team will respond?
If it's me, if I'm a senior, for sure I'm coming out with my hair on fire. It's my last game at home. If I'm a younger guy, I'm still going to come out with my hair on fire because even if, we playing for Mac. This is his last game, but we don't know what's going to happen. I know a lot of guys are probably planning on jumping in the portal because Mac is not there no more. So they have a chance to put good tape out there on footage to get, looked at by other schools in the portal and whatnot. So you still have something to play for. It's just a matter of like how important you take it and like do you have pride in like finishing the season strong. That's the main thing. I know the seniors are because a lot of these seniors ain't never beat state, so they should be wanting to come out and get a win,
right?
For sure. So I believe the seniors for sure going to come out with their hair on fire. But the younger guys, they still have things to play for, and I don't know that some of them going to be looking to get looked at in the portal, so they're going to want to put good things on film for sure.
Sirs, I'm going to go ahead and be unpopular here. This team hasn't shown me they have the ability to come out and play with their hair on fire.
You're right.
I know it's
been too many. It's been too many examples of slow starts this season.
And I know that sounds harsh, but I've yet to see this team come out and actively play like they had a chip on their shoulder,
right?
Or like they wanted to mash somebody out,
right,
or like
right.
they really wanted to just beat somebody into the dirt. So
I know
I don't know what, especially with all of the chaos that's happened around the Keenan Football Center this week, I don't know what would change that. If anything, they've got more distractions than they've ever had. I think the story and the potential for the Disney ending is something that folks might be gravitating towards. People are like, oh, well, will they do, Tommy used earlier, win one for the Gipper. I just don't see that. Nothing about this team has made me think they can actually sack up and come out and play like their hair's on fire.
Win one for the Gipper.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that, but nothing that I've seen with these two eyes has made me think that's possible. So all that to say, I mean, it's NC State has warts just like North Carolina does. So maybe it's a close game at the end. Nothing makes me think that North Carolina has the ability to match that energy. And then when you throw in all the distractions of this week, I see it even less of a possibility.
Yeah. Then it comes down to who can handle the emotions better.
Yeah.
Like State coming in, they want to win. They got a chance to be bowl eligible. Carolina's coming in with a possible coaches change and guys on the team not knowing the uncertainty of the future of the program. So it's a lot more distractions on North Carolina side than NC State side. But what fixes everything is a win. So
this question
I would definitely try to come out and get a win.
This question is just B-Mick trying to win a Johnny T-shirt gift card. Why does it feel like Wolfpack fans drink Budweiser and smoke Pall Mall cigarettes?
Do they really? I don't know that.
Go ahead with the next.
Tell me something.
Go ahead with the next question, Evan, from Brandon. This is a good one for Searcy.
Yeah, Brandon asked for Searcy, why you think the defense has struggled since Butch left. Obviously, multiple coordinators since that time. What is a common thread maybe you've seen? Is it a personnel thing, scheme thing, cultural thing? I mean, what do you think it boils down to?
You need more dogs. You got to recruit kids. You got to recruit guys who have kids at home. They got something more to play for. You know what I'm saying?
I need dudes. I need a bunch of dudes with high cholesterol.
Hey, man. That starting level on my defense, it was probably 6-7 of us on the defense with kids.
I need a bunch of dudes with kids and cholesterol.
Some dudes had multiple. I came in with a couple of dudes who came in with kids, and they had a second before we left. So I mean, guys took more pride. You got to think, man. It's more stuff that's awarded to guys today, like NIL and things like that. So a lot of guys aren't as focused as they used to be.
There's absolutely there is something to be said for a guy playing for something more than himself.
Exactly.
And I think that when you see the best teams, it's because they're playing for their teammate. They're playing for mama or whomever or whatever, or like you said, if they've got a child at home, whatever that extra motivation is, that matters,
right?
And so I don't know if that's something North Carolina's ever been able to recreate, but
we just knew a lot of times with NIL today is given, and we knew anything we was going to get or receive, we would have to earn it.
It would have to be because of your performance.
Thank you. So rather that be. And we wasn't getting no endorsement deals, but we was trying to get to the NFL or line ourselves up to get good paying jobs once we graduated. So we had a lot more to fight for. Now a lot of things are getting dumped in guys' laps. Guys are getting NIL before they step on campus. So a lot takes heed to that. So a guy's hunger may not be as strong as it is now as it was back in the day. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to let our guy, DSK Reptiles, if he will email me at joey@InsideCarolina.com, I'll hook him up with a $50 Johnny T-shirt gift card. Johnny T-shirt sponsored this segment and all of IC's content. You know them, you love them. They've been having their Black Friday sales. They've still got really good stuff, and they're going to have things all the way up until Christmas, y'all. So if you're in town today, swing by Johnny T after the game, get you some swag. If not, go to johnnytshirt.com. Tell them that IC Live sent you. Tell them Evan in his red shirt sent you. It will absolutely,
traitor.
It will get you thrown out of the store, but you will still get a great discount, and great service. Great service from IC. IC knows. God, y'all are messing me up. Shut up. Use that IC coupon, the discount code on the premium message boards at Johnny T-Shirt. They'll take care of you. DSK replies, Joey at InsideCarolina.com is what you need to do. We appreciate all y'all being a part of this here segment. Inside Carolina Live rolls on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
This is Matt Merletti, and you're listening to Inside Carolina Live.
With our strong workforce and commitment to education, major employers like Wolfspeed and VinFast are choosing the Triangle area to expand.
The numbers don't lie. All this growth means your business is likely to grow too. If you have maxed out on your physical space or are looking to expand, rely on us, your local commercial real estate team.
We are
Cindy,
Lou,
and Shayla too with Bold Commercial Real Estate. We will help you
buy,
sell,
and lease Bold. Connect with us at boldcre.com.
This is Jeff Denning with Generator Supercenter of the Triangle. We are the #1 Generac residential installer in North America. 80% of the homeowners that have a generator have a Generac. We want to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what are your fears, wishes, desires. And then how do we do this project the most efficiently? We're also here to give you peace of mind, protection, safety, and security. Go to GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com. That's GeneratorSuperCenterOfTheTriangle.com.
My name is Katherine Hauser, and I now live in a beautiful home, fully renovated by Will Johnson Building Company, and we couldn't be happier. Rebecca's my go-to. She'll point me in the right direction. The architect Whitney helped do some of our design work. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about our project manager who was on the job site and helping make sure I felt comfortable with and that I knew what I was deciding on. So I give a lot of credit to him for seeing that vision come to life for us.
Go to willjohnsonbuildingcompany.com and see for yourself.
Hi, Michael Scott, Regional Manager. Listen, here's my philosophy on retirement planning. Don't ever, for any reason, no matter what, no matter where, or who you are with, or where you are going, or where you've been, don't ever, for any reason whatsoever, don't do anything except call John Stillman at Rosewood Wealth Management.
Michael Scott isn't real and therefore wasn't compensated for this endorsement. However, Carolina Wealth Stewards doing business as Rosewood Wealth Management is a real registered investment advisor in the state of North Carolina.
Hello, Tar Heels. This is Roy Williams. Although we are no longer living in town, when Wanda and I come back, we always stay at the new Sheraton Chapel Hill. The Atma Hotel Group has done wonders with the Sheraton's complete and comfortable transformation and amenities, from convenient parking to very nice guest rooms and the Blue Corners Bistro that serves breakfast and dinner every day. We hope to see you there on one of those special Carolina weekends. And as always, let's go Heels.
Hello, Tar Heel fans. I'm Robbie Oakes, Managing Director of CIMG Residential Mortgage and the Robbie Oakes Mortgage Team.
As a Chapel Hill native and a UNC grad, I am proud to lead Chapel Hill and Durham's #1 mortgage lending team. So we can help you buy or refinance here locally or anywhere from the mountains to the coast. Find out how today. Visit CIMGINC.com for details. CIMG, lending on a first name basis. Go Heels.
NMLS number 39460.
You're listening to Inside Carolina Live on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL, the flagship station for Tar Heel sports. And now the hosts of Inside Carolina Live, Joey Powell and Da'Norris Searcy.
I went home with a waitress.
I know you don't know who this is, Evan. Let the song play.
I always do. How was I to know?
Shut up, Evan. Let him sing.
Was with the Russians too.
This is Warren Zevon. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live. The song is called Lawyers, Guns, and Money because I think that's what it's going to take for the Tar Heels to win today.
Lawyers, guns, and money? Oh, my God.
That is actually, Warren Zevon is an absolutely amazing songwriter. But that song is indeed called Lawyers, Guns, and Money. And I think UNC needs to bring that to the field today. Not the guns. I mean, we don't necessarily want any.
That's why I was like, whoa.
Y'all know what I mean. This is why we can't have nice things. You're listening to Inside Carolina Live. I'm Joey Powell, Da'Norris Searcy. Evan Rogers with me wearing red today. It's burgundy.
Cranberry.
Oh, you've now gone to cranberry.
Ron Burgundy.
Unbelievable. Guys, last segment of the show. It's the last segment of the regular season, so we got to make it a good one. Evan, that means you can't mail it in like you've been the rest of the year, all right? I need you to step it up right now. I need you to be on your game. Most important thing today for the Tar Heels, Evan Rogers, go.
Don't abandon the run. I mean, we kind of hammered it there in that last segment, but it felt like when UNC got down early to Boston College that they really abandoned the run. And I think you saw the limitations of Jacoby Criswell. He is a solid quarterback, but I don't think he is a QB that you can rely on to will you, to a win like they've had in, at the quarterback position the last 5 seasons.
Right.
So this is a game where you leave it all on the line for Amari Hampton. You really ride him into the sunset almost. I mean, you give him the ball as much as you can. And
not literally. That would be physically troubling.
True.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean.
But the last game, give it to him.
But just don't abandon the run. I think you know the identity of this team. There's a reason they lead the ACC in rushing attempts this season, and that's their identity. And they got away from that last week. I hope they don't get away from it this week.
Sirs, same question, man. What's the one thing, right? Like, is it as simple as just let Amari carry you to glory, or is there something else that you think needs to be the primo facto?
Defensive side, getting off the field on third downs and creating as many turnovers as possible. I don't know if we're going to be able to create many sacks with a dual threat quarterback who's able to move around, but if he's shown where he's put it in harm's way, so you got to be able to create turnovers. If we're able to get to him, sack fumbles would be good, but the main thing is getting off the field on third downs and getting the ball back to our offense. Give them as many opportunities to make plays and get in the end zone as possible.
I'm going to go a little deeper here, and this is not – I think both of what you guys said is absolutely applicable and probably will make a big difference in the outcome of today's game. I think North Carolina is going to limit hidden yardage. And when I say hidden yardage, for those who might not follow, it's dumb penalties.
Yep.
It's not wrapping up. It's not being able to end the play when you're supposed to end it. Searcy talked about getting off the field. I think it's not getting off the field when you have an opportunity to. I think it's the little things that absolutely can add up to multiple types of yards.
Yeah.
But more importantly, extend possessions and get away from you. And that's what this team has proven multiple times. They can't afford that.
Can't afford dumb penalties.
They're not talented enough to play through that. So what you have to do is capitalize on those opportunities when they happen. So in the drive, when you have a chance to, make sure that you're actually tackling to the ground, not just leaning the shoulder into guys. Make sure that you're not getting stupid turnovers or stupid penalties after the play is over. And I think the hidden yards, if you can take care of those, then I think you may have a better chance of equalizing NC State's intensity. I think this NC State team is still talented. This NC State team still has the same guys that absolutely gutted you last year.
Exactly.
I think they've struggled because of their quarterback position, but C.J. Bailey has come along as the season has progressed, and he's done okay, and he's started to find himself, even against Georgia Tech when they lost. I mean, he had 3 touchdowns because he was – oh, wait, stop me when you've heard this before. He was running when the pocket collapsed and everything broke down.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's exactly what Grayson James did to North Carolina last week.
And a spy.
You cannot allow that to happen for the second week.
Right.
What does a recipe for a win look like? If I'm game planning, Searcy, what's my either offensive or defensive game plan? And I want to talk about offensively because NC State runs a unique 3-3-5 stack defense.
Right.
Yep. What they want to do is they want to try to funnel things horizontally. They want to keep you from being able to run up the middle, to throw up the middle. They're going to show you some looks that make you think that you're getting X when they're really going to throw Y.
Right. That's the problems you have with a 3-4 defense. Looks can come from anywhere. Pressures can come from anywhere. Coverage can come from anywhere. You just got to be able to acknowledge the problems and where the pressures come from, and just being able to stay on the field. Like if they're a team that wants you to go horizontal, you got to be able to run straight at them. Especially if they want you to go horizontal, that means they're weak. They're weak running straight ahead. So you got to be able to, out physical. Offensive line has to be dominant. Like these, it got to be one of these games where like offensive line's got to say enough is enough, and just peel their ears back and just run the ball on them. I mean, it's shown it can happen. Offensive line has put together games where Marion has went over 200 yards of rushing. So I would say it comes back to that controlling the clock, controlling the time of possession, getting off the field on third downs, and staying on the field on third downs if you're offense. Keeping drives going and eliminating dumb penalties.
Same thing, Evan.
Offensively?
Either way.
I think,
you can go defense if you want.
I think defensively, you've got to make C.J. Bailey beat you with his arm. NC State has struggled to run the ball. Jordan Waters was a big get for them out of the portal from Duke. Had high expectations. Just hasn't panned out.
Right.
I mean, you take away the Western Carolina and the Tennessee game, he's got like 179 yards on the season. C.J. Bailey, we went over. I think he ran for 3 scores last week. He has the ability to stretch the pocket. He also threw 3 interceptions last week.
Yeah,
he's got 12 touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
Well, we need 2.
He'll give you the ball if you let
it.
Look at this old Cadillac right
talented
here.
He is talented as ever.
Look at Holly Walnuts rolling through the Bulls lot.
With the hokey sticker though.
He's a true freshman. He's a guy that I think could have the potential to be poached. I mean, I think he is that talented.
He has a chance to be a very good quarterback in somebody's system.
He does.
I don't know that Robert Anai's system, and again, this is not an NC State show, but Robert Anai's system does not necessarily use a live arm quarterback as much as some others would.
Right.
But Bailey has that.
He does.
I think he's shown flashes of it, and he's definitely something North Carolina has to respect today. You can't just say beat you with the legs or beat you with the arms. I think he's proven the ability to do both.
Right,
but North Carolina can't go to sleep on one of those.
You got to be prepared for both.
In 2 of his best games this year passing the ball.
Limit one and play for the other one.
Right. 2 of his best games passing the ball this year were against Stanford and Cal.
Yeah.
So that shows you the level of team that he's really been able to thrive through passing the ball. If he beats you with his arm today, you tip your cap to a young kid living up to the moment.
Right.
But you can't let NC State – you can't let NC State – beat you with the run. I think you make C.J. Bailey uncomfortable. He's a true freshman at the end of the day, super talented, but make him use his arm to beat you.
I think the difference for North Carolina today is absolutely playing with some life. I know that sounds so abstract and so cliche all the time, but by the same token, where in this season has North Carolina shown some verve? Where in this season has North Carolina shown some life, some spunk, some attitude, some DGAF, right? Like I haven't seen, to use Evan's terms, when does North Carolina play with Riz?
I've never said that. I've never said that.
I need North Carolina to play with some Riz today, and that is not something. That is not something that can be quantified or specified, but it's absolutely something you can see on the field. Yes. And too many times when North Carolina has come out against an opponent like NC State, who would rather just punch him square in the face and go sit down, North Carolina has done nothing about it.
Exactly.
North Carolina has done nothing about it.
Exactly.
They've wilted. They've wilted. They've allowed it to happen. They've shown no bounce back. They've shown no grit, no moxie. That can't happen today.
It can't.
You've got all the reasons in the world. They're playing for something.
Exactly.
NC State is playing for bowl eligibility. You have a chance to make a memorable mark against them with a win.
Right.
In a sense,
and keeping them at home.
You can always hold against them, like Sir said, that you didn't get to play in a bowl game because of what we did in Chapel Hill. I have no reason to think that happens, but I think it needs to. This is the chance for that to actually show up.
This is one of the games you should.
This is the chance for that to materialize. Tommy Ashley is being an absolute pest right now. I don't know what he's doing.
If I'm a senior, I'm being a prick.
He's got big time negative energy right now, and I'm getting nervous by that.
If I'm a senior, I'm being a prick today.
Exactly. If you're,
I gotta go out. I gotta go out with a bang.
You gotta be bad bottom of the pile guy.
Yep.
You gotta be absolutely like play through the echo of the whistle.
Echo the whistle.
If I'm
under the pile, you're getting a couple of gator roll tackles.
A lot of gator rolls.
Gator roll you.
A lot of eye gouges.
Pull your face mask.
A couple of that. Couple fingers in the nostrils.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff.
Mush your helmet on the ground as I get up.
All of the little things. I talked about hidden yardage earlier. This is the hidden attitude opportunities that I would love to see from North Carolina today. All right, guys. We got a couple more minutes left before we have to get out of here. Let's do some score predictions. Sirs, I'm going to let you have the floor first. Score prediction and tell me why.
I got 35-28 Carolina. Most is going to be high. They're going to want to end on a high note, win one for Mac.
How does that 35 play out? Is it a State comes back, or is it North Carolina edges them out late?
I believe Carolina edges them out late.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely believe that. We're going to jump out early. Miraculously, we're going to come out with our hair on fire to start the game off. We're going to jump out early on them. They may push back a little bit. They're going to make their plays. They're going to get their points and whatnot. I'd be surprised if they don't score. But, yeah, we'll weather the storm. 35-28 Carolina.
All right. Evan, same question.
Yeah.
He's going to go State. Look at him.
I'm not. I'm actually not. I'm going 31-16 UNC.
Wow.
And
all right. Okay.
I think
31-16.
I think there is a unified reason and why for NC State in this game, and it comes from the hatred that comes from their coach. But at the same time, I don't know how effective that coach has been at rallying that team this season.
Okay.
For UNC, I don't know what the unified approach is, but I do know that there's a lot of different ways you could look at this for certain players. For your seniors, it's senior day. You've never beaten State. For players who are super close and connected to Mac, this is Mac's last game.
Right.
Exactly.
For underclassmen who don't know what's going on, this is an open tryout.
Exactly.
This is what the new coaching staff is going to see. This is what coaching staffs in the portal might see if you end up going in those directions. There are more variations for UNC and UNC players to find different motivations for this game. And I think that culminates in just a greater overall want to and motivation in this type of game. And I think UNC wins comfortably. I really do.
Okay. I hope they win comfortably.
I think there's a couple of different opportunities today for North Carolina. I've said all along that I think that this team struggles with getting themselves at a mental energy to match the opponent. I've said multiple times that I think this team has shown a proclivity. Evan, that's a good SAT word for you, by the way.
I took the ACT.
This team has shown a proclivity to get out-fought before the game even starts.
Right.
I think there's a lot of chances where this team might fold when they get some adversity thrown their way. I don't know that that's changed. And I'm afraid that all of the things about Mac leaving are more of a wild card than an actual manifestation of playing better. I do think North Carolina probably hangs around today. I don't know that I've seen enough from them that makes me think that they are as dialed in or as amplified or as triggered enough to want to stay engaged and want to win an absolute dogfight. And that's unfortunate. I would love to see this team send Mac out of here on their shoulders today. I would love to have I would love to have the Disney ending. Like, I would love to have the script that everyone wants to have of what's Mac's last game, UNC carries him out on their shoulders, and he kind of rides off into the sunset.
Right.
I just don't see it. And maybe that makes me a jerk. Maybe that makes me a negative Nelly. Call it what you want to. I just don't know that there's been anything performed.
They haven't shown no evidence of it. That's
in this world, I don't know that there's been evidence to show that, to make me think that.
Exactly.
So all of that said, and again, I hate to say it because I love they're breaking out the all blue throwbacks today. I think this ends up being NC State 31, Carolina 24. I think the Tar Heels probably have a chance.
I was wearing red.
I thought you are, but I'm just making a prediction.
He said he'd be the prick.
I think it's going to end up being a situation where the Tar Heels have a chance at the end, but just they get outmatched early and can't bounce back quick enough. Look, last regular season game of the year. We are so grateful for everybody making a part of it. The NC State band is heading up the hill right now because we let opposing bands come to our stadium. Why? I don't know. Whatever.
I hope they slip and roll back down the hill, or they get too tired by the time they get to the band. Get to the stadium to play.
It's been fun. AJ, thanks for being here. Aaron Keck back on the home headquarters, whatever you want to call it, that's keeping us on the air. Thank you, Aaron. We will be back. We will do a bowl pregame show. We'll let you know when to expect that, obviously, when North Carolina accepts a bid. But this has been Inside Carolina Live. For Evan Rogers, Da'Norris Searcy, Tommy Ashley, I'm Joey Powell on 97.9 The Hill, WCHL.
It's time for the Chapel Hill Tire Drive Happy Drive of the Game. In a fresh